7:48 a.m., Northside High School, Chicago. The hallway was still half asleep. Lockers clanked open, backpacks dragged across tiled floors, and the smell of burnt eggs from the cafeteria still lingered in the air. Outside, snow fell quietly against the school's old brick walls, soft enough to muffle footsteps, whispers, and something else brewing beneath it all. Room 103, the security office, sat at the end of the west hallway. No windows, one camera inside, one in the hallway, but that morning both were marked, offline, under maintenance. No one heard how it started. All they knew was that Jamison Bell, an 11th grader, a quiet black student among the school's top performers, had been pulled into the security room by Officer Ray Holt and staff guard Ted Weller. 3 minutes later, the nurse was called, blood on Jamison's cheek, swelling near his temple. He didn't say much, only asked, "Can I call my mom?" By 9:15 a.m., the official report was filed. Student was combative during a routine locker check. Raised voice, aggressive posture. Necessary restraint was applied for safety. No witnesses. Signed, Officer Holt. Confirmed, Ted Weller. Jamison was suspended pending investigation. It could have ended there, but at 11:23 a.m., a copy of the report landed on the desk of Public Attorney Natalie Chen, 32 years old, third-generation Chinese-American, Harvard Law, known for being polite in court and unrelenting outside it. The word aggressive made her stop, because she knew Jamison. 2 years prior, she taught a civic seminar at his middle school. He was the boy who stayed after class to stack chairs, the one who asked about civil rights during police stops. She picked up the phone. "Ms. Bell, this is Natalie Chen. I've been assigned to represent your son. I know this case looks small, but I'd like to meet in person." Same day. 4:06 p.m., Janitor's Lounge, North Side basement. The custodian's lounge smelled of burnt coffee, disinfectant, and old leather chairs. A flickering fluorescent bulb buzzed above a vending machine. In the corner, sitting alone with a paper cup and a wax-wrapped sandwich, was Mr. Otis Greene, 72 years old, part-time janitor, full-time invisible. He'd worked at Northside since 2009, swept the halls each morning, mopped the gym after games, emptied trash in the snow. Most students didn't know his name. Most teachers didn't recall his face. But that afternoon, when Natalie asked if anyone, had seen anything near room 103, a teacher pointed toward the stairs. "Find Otis. He's always around." She didn't expect much, but as she approached, Otis didn't look surprised, didn't ask why she was there. He just looked up and said, "I saw the whole thing. 7:41 to 7:45. Jamison didn't raise his voice once." Natalie froze. "You saw?" Otis nodded slowly. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out an old spiral-bound notebook, the kind students stopped using in 3rd grade. He flipped to a marked page, January 4th, West Wing. His handwriting was firm, neat, every entry time-stamped. 7:38, Bell walks from South Hallway. 7:40, Officer Holt stops him, no visible reason. 7:41, Bell is pulled by the arm. 7:42, sounds of argument inside room 103. 7:43, Weller arrives. 7:44, loud bang, like furniture. 7:45, nurse called. Natalie stared. Why do you write these things down?" Otis didn't blink. "Because it's not the first time, and no one believes the kids when their word goes up against a badge." She paused for nearly 10 seconds, then did the only thing she could. She pulled out her phone. "Mr. Greene, would you be willing to testify in court?" He didn't nod, didn't refuse, just gently closed the notebook, laid it on the table, and said, "If someone's finally opening their eyes, then maybe it's time I open my mouth." 3 days later, Cook County Courthouse, Chicago. courtroom 4C. Wood floors creaked beneath shoes. The prosecutor's chair sat empty. Defense counsel was already seated. At the left table sat Officer Ray Holt, in uniform, 22 years of service, 11 commendation badges, and one incident report written like hundreds before it, detailed, procedural, signed. Only this time, someone read every word. Natalie Chin stood at the plaintiff's table, no fancy blazer, no legal entourage, just her, and a witness no one expected. "Your Honor," she began, her voice clear, "the plaintiff is Jamison Bell, 11th grader, never reprimanded, no criminal record, no behavioral flags. Yet somehow, he ended up in a room with no cameras, leaving with a bruised face." The judge nodded. "Counselor, do you have a witness?" "I do," Natalie said, turning toward the back. "Mr. Otis Greene, please." Otis stepped forward. No badge, no tie, no authority, just an old notebook in his hand, and an unshakable calm. The courtroom chuckled. Some exchanged glances. A janitor? But when he opened his notebook, reading each line like someone reliving it, silence fell. "I was in the west hallway from 7:30 to 7:50. I didn't hear Jamison shout. I saw Holt pull him into the room. I saw Weller follow. No questions asked. I heard a loud crash. No one responded when I knocked." The judge tilted her head. "You recorded all this at the time it happened?" Otis didn't look up. "I've recorded every day for 14 years, every hallway, every incident. Because I knew, one day, someone would ask, and they'd need someone who remembered." 3 days earlier, Natalie's apartment, 10:11 p.m. Her laptop screen glowed blue. She reviewed hallway footage, obtained from the school's internal system after filing a formal request. The camera outside room 103 wasn't malfunctioning, like the report claimed. Its cable had been unplugged. The data was intact, and the timestamps matched Otis's notebook. 7:40. Jamison stopped. 7:41. Led away. 7:42. Holt looked around, then yanked the plug. The screen went black. Natalie said nothing. She just marked her file. Intentional interference. Concealment. That night, District 13 Police Precinct. In the break room, Holt laughed with his colleagues. "That rookie lawyer thinks I'm scared? These kids cry lawsuit every time. Always some fresh grad on their side. Who's going to believe a suspended student?" One young officer, a Haitian woman, stood silently. She touched the cross around her neck. "Holt, if the camera was really unplugged, what do you think will happen?" He scoffed. "Worst case? A slap on the wrist. I've doctored dozens of these reports. Just keep denying. People forget." But this time, someone didn't forget. Day 2, Cook County Courthouse. Holt took the witness stand, uniform crisp, voice steady. "I acted for safety. Student was aggressive. There was shouting. I don't recall who unplugged the camera. Might have been technical error." Natalie didn't interrupt. She let him finish, then presented the footage extract and Otis's notebook. "Your Honor, the camera signal dropped at the exact second described by our witness. This notebook, handwritten at the time, contains matching timestamps." She looked straight at Holt. "You claim Jamison was aggressive, yet hallway footage shows him not turning, not raising his arms, not speaking. You claim ignorance about the camera, yet the cable sat under your desk." The courtroom didn't murmur, didn't laugh. Only one thing changed. The weight shifted, and Otis, standing quietly at the edge of the room, stared down at his notebook. A man no one had listened to, a witness no one had invited. But now, he was the pivot of truth. Day 3, 8:32 a.m., courtroom 4C. Every seat filled. Not because of the media, not because of politics, but because word had spread. There's a janitor shaking the whole system with one notebook, and a black student stood up without shouting. In the third row, Jamison Bell sat upright in a white shirt ironed by his mother. The swelling on his face had faded, but in his eyes, something had changed. Not fear, faith, that this time adults were listening. 9:01 a.m. The judge entered, proceeding in the case of plaintiff Jamison Bell versus Officer Ray Holt and security staff Ted Weller. Defense attorney Michael Grant, silver-haired, composed, rose. Polite voice but sharp intent. To twist, to undercut, to discredit. We'd like to cross-examine Mr. Otis Greene. Otis returned to the stand. He bowed slightly, set his notebook down. Mr. Greene, do you have a legal degree? No, sir. Any video, audio, or physical proof besides this notebook? No. Then why should this jury trust the memory and the notes of a janitor? Otis didn't resist. He simply said calmly, because my memory isn't the only thing left, and because kids like Jamison have no one else to remember for them. The room froze. Then Natalie stepped up. She placed a printed document gently. This is a system log of the hallway camera. Signal cut 7 seconds after Jamison entered room 103. Cable location directly beneath Officer Holt's desk. And this, she pointed to a photocopy, is Mr. Greene's handwritten page. Each timestamp matches. She turned to Holt. You still claim you didn't know the camera was off? Silence. Did you hear Jamison make threats? No. See him raise a hand? Not sure. Write anything in your report that wasn't true? Holt bit his lip, then repeated, I acted for safety. Natalie stared into him. Safety? For whom, officer? When the only one bleeding was a 17-year-old, unarmed and unresisting? 11:14 a.m. A surprise witness is called. We call Mr. Ted Weller. Murmurs echoed. Weller, the guard who co-signed Holt's report, took the stand. Large man, shifty eyes. Natalie asked gently, Mr. Weller, who wrote the part? Jamison yelled, acted aggressive? Officer Holt. Did you hear Jamison yell? He swallowed. No. Would you like to amend your statement today? Silence, then a nod. I'd like to correct it. Jamison didn't yell. He just said, I want to call my mom. Then I heard a crash. When I walked in, he was on the floor, bleeding. Just like that, the tide turned. That afternoon, courtroom cleared, but Natalie's desk light still glowed. Otis stood by the door, notebook still in hand. Ms. Chen. Yes? I didn't think I'd be believed. 14 years, I've seen things. No one ever asked. Natalie met his gaze. Today, you weren't just asked. You were heard. Otis said nothing. He opened a fresh page, wrote one line. January 9th, a truth was finally spoken. Sentencing day, 8:05 a.m., Cook County Court. Snow still fell outside, but inside courtroom 4C, no one whispered anymore. No one laughed at the old man in the back. No one said, this will blow over. Everyone knew. Today would leave a mark. 8:47 a.m., Judge Eliza Moreno entered. The jury has concluded deliberation. Before the verdict, I want to emphasize, this trial was not just about one incident. It was about the right to be present, rightly, in a system that too often forgets who is most vulnerable. She looked at Holt, then at Jamison. Plaintiff and defendants, please rise. Jamison squeezed his mother's hand. Otis didn't blink. The verdict was read. The Cook County Court finds in favor of the plaintiff, Jamison Bell. Officer Ray Holt violated civil rights during an unwarranted stop. Intentional disabling of surveillance was evidence of concealment. The court orders, reputational restoration, academic reinstatement scholarship, and $45,000 in civil damages. The defendant's actions will be forwarded to the Illinois Department of Justice for disciplinary review. No one clapped. There was no need, only silence, heavy, like a blanket. But this time, it was the silence of justice passing through. Outside, Holt bowed his head, passing reporters. Someone asked, "Officer, any comment?" He didn't answer. In his hand, a folded piece of paper. Early retirement request, no pension. His badge now marked not authority, but exposure. Inside, hallway glass, Otis stood quietly. Natalie walked up. "What's next, Mr. Greene?" Otis shrugged. "I've got floor duty this afternoon. 3rd floor, biology lab." She chuckled. "You know, you could retire now, right?" Otis nodded, but said nothing. He pulled out a brand new notebook. Cheap spiral binding. This time, on the first page, testimony isn't standing in court. It's not looking away when wrong is happening. Same hour, Northside High boardroom. Principal Denise Hale met with the school board. The projector played a local news clip. Jamison Bell wins case. Key witness, a 72-year-old janitor with a 14-year notebook trail. One board member whispered, "We refused to upgrade cameras because of budget." We laughed when he kept scribbling alone. Principal Hale sat in silence, then finally spoke. "As of today, Mr. Greene is no longer a janitor. I'll recommend he be honored with a permanent chair on the disciplinary council." That afternoon, Jamison returned to school. No welcome banners, just different eyes from his peers, and quiet nods from teachers who once overlooked him. As he passed the west hallway, he saw Otis mopping. Jamison stopped. "Thank you for not staying silent." Otis didn't look up. He simply said, "You don't need to thank me. Just remember, sometimes we stay quiet not out of fear, but because we're waiting for the right moment to speak." 2 months later, Northside Auditorium, 7:03 p.m., a special forum for juniors and seniors. Civics and Justice, when should we speak? No speaker name on the poster, no promo video. Just a simple wooden chair on stage, next to a table, and a worn yellow notebook beside a bottle of water. In the shadows backstage, Otis Greene waited. When the spotlight turned on, it wasn't the principal, not Natalie Chen. It was Jamison Bell, varsity jacket, a faint scar on his cheek, voice slow, but steady. "I'm not here to say I'm a victim. I'm here to say thank you to someone who chose to write the truth by hand when no one else would touch a keyboard." The crowd stilled. "I used to think justice was for grown-ups. Then I realized some grown-ups stay silent, and some don't need to shout to be heard." Jamison turned stage left. "Mr. Otis Greene, please join me." He walked out. No fanfare, no press, just soft, white light. Otis sat, opened his notebook, didn't read, just brushed each page with his hand. "I write small things. A student dropped a pencil at 7:52. A teacher slipped. No one noticed. A brown boy was told to remove his hoodie, though it was -3 outside." He looked up. "I don't write because I matter. I write because I know some people who do are being forgotten." A student raised a hand. "Do you think you changed the system?" Otis shook his head. "No, I don't think I changed it. I just think I made it pause long enough to see itself in the mirror." 8:14 p.m., after the forum. Natalie Chen stood by the door, watching students line up to thank Otis. She opened an email from a senior prosecutor. "We'd like to use Mr. Greene's testimony as a training case for ethics investigation." She closed the laptop, didn't reply, because sometimes the right thing doesn't need a signature to matter. 1 week later, Northside High. At the end of the west hallway, where it all began, a small wooden plaque was mounted. Don't trust what's turned on. Look at what someone tried to turn off. Otis Greene. Beneath it, a replica notebook page. Jan 4. Jameson didn't shout, didn't hit, just asked, "I want to see my mom." Same day. Otis submitted his resignation. No one tried to stop him, but every teacher stood as he left. In silent agreement, he walked out. A new notebook in his pocket, blank, still unwritten, because this time, the whole system wrote it for him.